Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to talk about something pretty fascinating, using AI not to make our big life decisions for us, but to actually help us think through them with way more clarity. And look, this isn't about giving up control. Not at all. It's about getting a powerful new tool to understand ourselves and ultimately make better choices. So first up, the decision dilemma. Let's really dig into why those huge, life-altering decisions are so tough. We all face them, and most of us have our usual ways of dealing with them. Methods that, well, usually don't work out so well. Get this, and this number is wild. Research suggests we make about 35,000 decisions every single day. Now, most of those are tiny, subconscious things, but that sheer volume really sets the stage for the real challenge, the big ones. Yeah, we're total pros at the tiny choices, right? Coffee or tea? No problem. Which shirt to wear? Easy. But it's those giant choices on the right that give us that classic 2 a.m. staring at the ceiling feeling. You know the one I'm talking about, where you just feel completely and utterly stuck. And what do we do when we get stuck? Well, we pull out our usual toolkit, which, let's be honest, is kind of flawed. We drown ourselves in information. We get all this conflicting advice from friends, and we make those perfectly balanced pro-con lists that just end up staring back at us, leading exactly nowhere. It's a classic cycle of analysis paralysis. So is there another way? What's the alternative? Let's explore a totally different approach. This is all about reframing how we think about AI, not as some all-knowing oracle or a boss, but as your own personal thought partner. Okay, so here's the absolute key distinction. An AI thought partner is not there to give you the answer. Its job is to be a mirror for your own brain. It helps you organize all that chaos in your head, reflects your own values back to you, and helps you see your situation from totally new angles, all without the baggage of someone else's opinions or judgment. And this isn't some cold, robotic process. Seriously, just think of it like you have a friend who has infinite patience, a perfect memory of everything you've said, and this incredible talent for asking just the right question at just the right time. This comparison is everything. You know, when we ask a friend for advice, we're really getting their life experiences, their biases, their opinions. And come on, they can definitely get tired of hearing about our job dilemma for the 10th time. And AI, though, it keeps the focus entirely on you. It asks clarifying questions instead of giving you its 2 cents. And it will never, ever get bored of the topic. Okay, this sounds great in theory, but how does it actually work? Let's walk through a super simple 4-step conversational framework that you can use with pretty much any AI chatbot out there. It really is just a simple 4-part chat. First, you give it context. You tell the AI, hey, let's have a real back and forth, not just a quick answer. Step 2, you find what matters by asking it to look at your answers and tell you what you actually seem to care about. Step 3 is amazing. It's about uncovering your blind spots. You ask, what questions am I not even thinking to ask myself? And finally, step 4 is about imagining the future, using the AI to help you really visualize where each path could lead in a year. So to see how this all comes together, let's look at a real-life story about a woman named Sarah. This really shows the kind of impact this conversation can have when you're facing one of those massive, life-changing decisions. So meet Sarah. She was in a total decision-making nightmare. She had 2 great job offers, and in her own words, she was just losing her mind. She'd done all the pro-con lists, she'd asked everyone she knew for advice, and she was just more confused than when she started. Sound familiar to anyone? So after talking through her whole situation with an AI, it didn't tell her which job to take. No way. Instead, it came back with this incredibly powerful, clarifying question. This one question completely shifted her perspective. It pushed her past just the surface-level idea of salary and down to the real core human need that was hiding underneath. And here's what happened. Sarah had a breakthrough. She realized she wasn't actually chasing a bigger paycheck, she was chasing peace of mind. What she wanted was financial security. And once she understood that, the choice became crystal clear. She took the job at the more stable company, even though it paid less, and she has been totally confident in that decision ever since. All right, so if you're feeling inspired and ready to try this yourself, let's just go over a few key ground rules. These are really important to make sure you're using this tool effectively and, responsibly. Okay, first, the biggest mistake. Never ever ask the AI to decide for you. That's your job. Second, you have to give it plenty of personal context. The more it knows about your specific situation, the better its questions are going to be. Also, don't just stop at the first response. The real magic happens in the back-and-forth conversation. And finally, this is a tool for your decisions, not for trying to figure out someone else's life. And this is maybe the most important part. There are times when this is absolutely the wrong tool to use. For any serious health issues, mental health struggles, or major legal stuff, you need a qualified human professional, period. Same goes for any kind of emergency. And you gotta be honest with yourself. If you've already made up your mind and you're just looking for permission, this process isn't gonna help you. So how do you actually start one of these conversations? Well, this template right here is an incredibly powerful way to kick things off. See, you're not asking for an answer. You're asking for help understanding the difference between what you really want and what you think you should want. You're asking for help seeing what you might be overlooking, how this all fits into your bigger life goals, and what you'd regret the most. And that last part, ask me one question at a time, that is the key. It keeps the whole conversation focused on self-discovery, which is how you make a choice you won't regret. And that brings us to the end. You know, the goal here isn't to get an answer from a machine. It's to understand yourself better so you can make your own choice with confidence. So as you go about your week, I'll just leave you with this question to think about. What decision, big or small, will you choose to think through a little more clearly?